Welcome, Bronco fans, to the latest edition of Western Michigan Football Spring Practice Report. We're here, as always, with Coach Fleck. Coach, just finished up with practice. Obviously, what did the team learn today?
Well, I think that they're starting to understand everything, the tempo. We're understanding what we're expecting out of their techniques and expecting of the philosophy and expecting of the actual X's and O's. Now it's starting to, okay, now that we got those behind us, the expectations are now raised by the coaching staff in terms of, okay, now it's all in. Now we've got to perfect it. Now we've got to be able to get to that point where, we're pressing the hip and our tackling. And that's why we have our orange squares on our sides. And we're getting to that point where we need to perfect it. And like I said, that can sometimes be challenging because now it's all in, and now you're retaining everything backwards. And then there's a lot of this. Oh, yeah. I remember that. That's what we need to be able to avoid once we get done with this spring.
During the spring, how much is technique and how much is in-season installation, and how much do you want them to retain going into the fall?
Well, I think it's 50-50. I think every day you're installing, whether it's the green zone or whether it's third down or whether it's first and second down or whether it's goal line or short yardage, backed up, you're installing different type of situations. So you're always learning that part, and different plays go with different situations at times. But you're always carrying over the techniques, and you're learning new techniques. And then things will pop up of how we're going to change the technique. So I think it's 50-50. I think it goes back and forth, and you're always progressing throughout the entire spring or, in the course of a practice season.
I'm going to say something very obvious. Football is a physical sport. Mm-hmm. There's always going to need to be a next man up mentality. And what is your philosophy with that with the team?
Well, it is. It's a next man up, and it's a violent game. There's going to be injuries. Everyone in the country has injuries right now. You do your best as a head coach to prevent them. You're never going to stop them to happen, but you've got to be able to help prevent them. And we have different tempos. We have different paces of practice. But this team needs to play football. They need to play the game. We're very young in a ton of positions. If we just hold them back and say, okay, well, we're not going to do anything, we're never going to teach tackling. We got to get better at tackling. I mean, the simple part of the game, whether it's the X's and O's or whether it's whatever, we got to tackle on defense. If we're not practicing tackling, then we're fooling ourselves. We're just telling what we're not very good at, and we're going to fool ourselves think we're going to be great tacklers, elite tacklers come the fall. It won't happen. Same thing on offense. I mean, we've got to be able to block. We've got to be able to learn how to cut up front offensively. I mean, if you can't just get into a game and say, okay, well, offensive line, I want you to cut now. Well, we haven't practiced that ever, Coach, just on bags. There needs to be live drills. So that way but you try to prevent how many you have. And then there's always the freakish injuries. We'd have no contact where he just sticks his foot in the ground and something happens. So every team in the country deals with that somehow, some way. But I know this team, and I'm starting to get the heartbeat of this team. And it really doesn't matter who's going to be out there. Our family will rise to the occasion. And I have the utmost confidence that this team will do that no matter who falls.
Final question. We're going to be speaking with Kyle Lark here in a moment, senior linebacker. Linebacker is such a key part of a defense because you're supporting the defensive line. You're also dropping back into coverage to support the back end. Just talk a little bit about the core of linebackers we have.
Well, I think we have a really stout, core of linebackers. I really do. I think they're very athletic. But like a guy like Kyle Lark, he's very smart. He's very instinctual. He's not going to impress you when he walks in. You probably think he's more of a businessman, coming in to sell you something in terms of actually being the starting linebacker of the Western Michigan Broncos. But that's why I love him, because he just continues to make plays, continues to show up, continues to be detailed, continues to just show why he's here and why he loves the game. And he has an underdog mentality. But as a core, I think they're all progressing well. Coach McGargle, I think, is the best linebacker coach in the country. I mean, the guy led the NCAA of all-time tackling record. I mean, that just doesn't happen. There's a lot of mental toughness that goes along with that, and he's instilling that to our linebackers on a daily basis. It is not normal for a person to go put your face on somebody and drive them back 5 yards. That's not normal. So there's got to be an instinct, a mental toughness aspect that I know Coach McGargle brings to that linebacking group, and I think we're getting better on a daily basis of doing that.
Yeah, I've heard you say a few times that this is the blue-collar team. Would you say the linebackers are the blue-collar positional unit of a team?
They are. I think for our football team, they are definitely blue-collar. Everyone's blue-collar, but they're like the dark blue T-shirts, the dark collar, the dark blue. I really enjoy coaching them. I really enjoy being around them because, again, they all have that underdog mentality, that blue-collar feel. but they're a direct reflection of their head football coach and their linebacker coach, who, if you see Tim McGargle, you got all the people, all the stars, Ray Lewis, and you can go all through the linebackers in the history that ever played NCAA. And Tim McGargle had more tackles than anybody else in the NCAA. That's amazing to me. And that's the guy coaching them. And that's what I love about him. And the head coach is an underdog as well. And I just love their fight. And I think, like I said, if we lose one or two, it happens. That's the game of football. You feel horrible for those guys, but those guys aren't going to pout. They're not going to put their head down and sulk. They're gonna lead, and they're going to show how quick they can get back, and they're going to be a part of this football team like anybody else. And I know they'll have a next step mentality. And like I said, I wouldn't expect anything else less from coming from a McGargle group.
All right, thank you, Coach. Next up, we will be speaking with senior linebacker Kyle Lark. Now we're back with senior linebacker Kyle Lark. Kyle, senior year, hard to believe, isn't it?
It is. It goes fast.
Coach always mentions that you need to learn something every day at practice. What have you been learning through the first 2.5 weeks of spring ball?
I think as a team, we just kind of learn, it's a new practice, a new tempo. We got to kind of learn, how he wants things done. So that was a learning process in itself. But individually, with the linebacker core, just new fits, new footwork, new things. So just learning day by day and just get to that ultimate goal of being elite.
Obviously, having the consistency of having Coach McGargle back is very important. How important has his teaching been to you and to the entire linebacking core?
Absolutely. It was nice having him, be a one coach that stayed and had some sort of comfortability with him. But his biggest thing is just relentless in anything you do. Drills, film room, just relentless. So he's a great coach, and we're lucky to have him.
Obviously, you've had injury in your career. It's an obvious question, or obvious statement. Football, there is going to be injury. It's a physical game. Just talk about the mentality of next man up that Coach Fleck has and that you've had in your career.
Yeah, you got to be ready in football no matter what. Next play, you never know. You could be sitting at third string, and 2 plays later, you're in. So that's – you just have to have the attitude that I'm the starter every single day, no matter where you are in the depth chart. And that's the way I've looked at it. And, I've been on both ends of the spectrum, so I know how that kind of goes.
You kind of broke through last year. Obviously, the signature point of your season was that one series against Ball State. How do you capitalize on that and build on it?
Yeah, it was good. I finally just got the opportunity to be healthy for a season and play. And but that was definitely a confidence booster. But absolutely, but the mentality for all of us in this team is just what we're doing, what the team needs us to do. So I'm just looking. I'm there if we need to be a starter. I'm there to whatever we need to do.
All right, final question. This Friday night, we're having our night practice. It's going to be an event for the students, Necton Neon Night. Just tell students, your fellow students, why they should be there.
All right, we need your help because in that fourth quarter, and the times when it's getting close, we're going to need you. That's going to put us over the top to get that W. So we need you there.
Excellent. I want to thank Kyle. I want to thank Coach Fleck as always, and we'll be back on Thursday with the next Western Michigan football spring practice report. Row the boat.